Yeah, rolling. Episode number 43, Ian's Morning Rants. Good morning. Real quick, I'll be playing Harold's Place in San Pedro, doing a intimate acoustic set on July 2nd, if y'all want to come out to that. And July 4th, I'll be playing Huntington Beach Block Party. So you got to contact me for those, for that information with Go-Go Riot. Anyway, so check it out. So we were talking at work today. We were talking about the movie Blow, right? You ever seen the movie Blow? It's with Johnny Depp, your boy Johnny Depp, and a bunch of great actors. But it's a story of George Young, and it's a true story of a guy from Massachusetts who came to California looking for a better life. He was, the hard money times in Massachusetts, in Boston, Massachusetts, and came looking for money, so he moves to California, to Hermosa Beach, and gets into slanging a little weed. I believe this is the 70s, and slanging a little weed on the beach of Hermosa Beach, and became kind of a name, became Boston George Young. And he did pretty well because he hooked up with a big distributor over there that owned a series of laundromats and hair salons. And this guy supplied a big portion of the South, the SoCal, I guess, with pot. And they got kind of big with pot that they ended up getting pinched. George Young got pinched and had to go away. While he's in prison, he learns about cocaine. He gets with a big distributor named Diego. In the movie, his name is Diego. And he hooks him up with Pablo Escobar. So he only gets hooked up with Pablo Escobar once they found out that he's slanging cocaine here in California, and it's gone in a day because it's pure Colombian cocaine, pure. And when I say pure, those of you don't really know, you don't know what pure cocaine is for the most part here in California. You just don't. I had to turn that up a little bit. You just don't, because it gets cut up so many times by the time it gets here. Now, throughout my years, I'm not big in the cocaine world, but I've definitely been around it, seen it, and talked a lot about it. And it's very interesting because it's it's from poppy plants, right? And it gets baked down and put down into powder, clumped up, rocked up so it can be shipped. But by the time it gets to America, and especially California, it's been stepped on, it's been cut up, and that just means they've added some other ingredients so they can take a little portion and then sell more, take a little portion and sell more. It's like if you sell ground beef and you go, well, look, I'm not making enough money on this 16-ounce thing of beef. So what I'm going to do is put some fake beef in there that gives you zero protein, but it looks like and tastes like beef. Fuck it. It doesn't even taste like it or smell like it, but people are still fine with it, which I bet is happening with beef too. So that's what's going on. So by the time it gets here, you guys aren't doing real Colombian cocaine, man. You're just really not. There might be a bit of cocaine that you get in there. But back at that time, George Young was getting in Pablo Escobar's pure Colombian cocaine right here in California, and was distributing it to everybody, politicians, actors, musicians, anything. And that's why it was big. And they claim in the movie, like if you did cocaine in the 60s and 70s, it was probably from George Young. I hope I'm getting those dates right. 60s and 70s or just 70s, but it was probably from George Young, from Pablo Escobar down to George Young, and that was pure Colombian cocaine. And it's different than what you guys are doing now. It just is. So it's interesting. And George Young seemed like a good guy. He didn't want to murder people. He wasn't a gangster. He was just a distributor and made a ton of money doing it. And he lost his poor fiance early on and ended up later on in life marrying one of the wives or one of the girlfriends of one of the big drug lords. He ended up marrying her. So he became part of the Colombian cocaine family by marrying her. I'm drinking this nice cold Corona. But anyways, so so he ends up marrying this chick, and I think that's where it goes downhill. But kind of what I wanted to talk about was it's interesting because George Young seemed like a good guy. He spent his life in prison and died in prison, never to see his daughter again. But my thing is that he was distributing cocaine. He was making money from trafficking cocaine. Now, he didn't seem like a bad guy to me as far as murdering and killing people. Now, one could say, well, distributing cocaine is killing people. You could say that. You could also say that he was bringing in pure Colombian cocaine, which is better than the fentanyl bullshit people are snorting up their face right now. And people are getting in a lot of pain with that. But you can also say that, he was really the cocaine will be coming in anyways. It just will be, guys. That's a fact. I mean, you can argue as much as you want, but whether you get one distributor or another one pops up if you're against the cocaine coming into the country. So George Young just happened to jump in on that. Now, he was offered the job. So it's one of those things, it's like, hey, I'm going to offer you this job. You're going to make millions of dollars. You're going to make more money than you can count. Are you in? And a lot of you are going to go, yep. I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. I know it's risky as hell, but I'm in. Now, a lot of people die when we're talking drug trades because there's a lot of rats going on. A lot of people are going to the FBI. A lot of people are going to the NSA. A lot of people are going to whatever. And that's how people die. And outside of America, there's different rules to these things. Like the cartel, for one. They don't fuck around. If a bunch of drugs get seized here in America, guess what? A lot of people die in Mexico. That's a fact. And they'll execute these people right in the middle of the street just to prove a point. So where I'm going with this is, what if we just made it legal? That's a sticky situation because people do develop problems and addictions. But I feel now this is just what's running through my head. I don't know what's right, what's wrong, how it should work, But what I'm saying is that because things are illegal, people die from it just because it's illegal. So if we're talking like pot is legal here, but over the years people have died. People are still in prison. People have gotten seriously injured and ruined their lives because they got caught with marijuana. And it's weird because now it's legal and you're like, well, what's the big deal? But it's same with alcohol. Right now I'm drinking alcohol and back in the day it's called prohibition. So it was people, that's where Al Capone came from. He was the king of prohibition because you made it illegal, so you create gangsters. A lot of these gangsters were from the military. There's no other way to make jobs other than bring in liquor. And they go, well, why can't they do something else? It's illegal. You go, well, yeah, but you're living a better life making more money, especially at that time, especially in the Depression time, prohibition. There's just more money in liquor because it's illegal. You make it legal, all of a sudden people don't die, and the gangsters aren't able to make as much money on it because the gangsters are the ones willing to break the law to get you this product. So if you made cocaine legal, what would happen? You know, like what would happen? People would definitely be starting all kinds of businesses and shit. People would be starting not cocaine business, they start any business, because when you're doing blow, you feel like you've accomplished something. So, but if you made it legal, people wouldn't be dying from fentanyl. Maybe you can get that pure Colombian cocaine, but you know, it's a sticky situation. It's weird to think if you can just go to a store and get pick up an 8-ball. That would be weird, right? It would be weird. Would it be bad? Would people be acting out and being crazy? Who knows? Who knows? Because there was propaganda talking about weed, where if you smoke weed, you're going to go rape people. I've seen those propaganda commercials, and that's not the case at all. You may fall asleep and eat Cheetos all day and have a hard time getting motivated. That's what weed does to some people. But it'd be interesting to see if, because people are still going to do cocaine. People are still going to do drugs. They just are. And they're doing methamphetamines and anything in record numbers these days, especially meth. And they're cooking that shit in their little trailers. So it's never going to end. People are going to find stuff. Remember when they're sniffing glue? They're sniffing glue and, But getting back to the movie Blow, it seemed like George Young was a good guy. He got caught up in this thing and was making a lot of money. It's hard to turn away from it. And he ended up getting caught, decided to just be a normal Joe and try to raise his daughter. Now his wife made things difficult. They took everything, all the money he had. So his best friends he hadn't seen in a long time, and they got caught, I guess. And they were forced to entrap George Young into doing one more job. So his best friend Dewey, right? Yeah, that's his name, Dewey. His best friend Dewey comes out and goes, "Hey, man, I got one more job for you." And George Young goes, "You know what? I think I'm done." He goes, "No, I got one more job and you're done and you can support your girl and everything." He goes, "Fine, one more job." And that was the job that put him away for life, because it was a setup. It was entrapment. And I got a problem with that. Now, some people could say, well, he's a drug distributor. He deserves to be in prison for, But I also hear people say interesting things about rappers, right? I've even heard old white women go, "Oh, he had to sell drugs in his terrible neighborhood and he got out and now he's a famous rapper." It's so inspiring. I go, well, if that was a white guy, I bet you wouldn't be saying the same thing. For some reason, it seems inspiring when it's a black rapper. I'm not understanding that one, but I think anybody that gets out of their situation and betters themselves is inspiring, I think, as long as you're not a fraud or ratted people out, because I have no tolerance for rats, zero. But if you did some unfavorable things, slanging a little drugs to get you out of somewhere, I got no problem with that, and let me tell you why. No matter which way where you sit on the fence on that, some people just have different lives. You need to get yourself out of it. And people are going to do drugs. They just are. I'm sorry to say it, guys. No matter, because I've heard a lot of people talk shit about these junkies, these this, these that, and then you go into their room and they have a fucking pharmacy in there. This bitch is on Xanax, Percocets, Oxycontins all day long, and she's complaining about the riffraff. And the person I'm talking about, I go, "Look, you live off your husband and you're just on drugs all day. So maybe don't talk, because I don't see you doing much." But back to the movie. Back to old George Young, man. I feel bad for him. I feel he's a good guy that got caught up in this thing, making a lot of money, and he got entrapped by his friends. His friends got him. Now, I'll tell you right now, say I get popped, I'll never rat on my friends. Ever, 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 ever in life. Now, again, easier said than done, I guess. You can go, it's hard to say. You got kids, you got all these things, and you need to be free, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I would not be able to live with myself. There's got to be another way, to rather than ratting on people. Now, I'm going to say when you force somebody to rat on each other, that also causes more murders, just to let you guys know. So when these guys are interrogating these guys, people start getting murdered because, well, somebody's a rat and the gangsters don't know who it is. So I think the tactic of making somebody tell, especially when they're in that type of industry, that type of organization of where rats get murdered, I think it's because what happens, it's not the rats themselves that get murdered, it's their family members, it's their friends. And that's a fact, guys. That's a real fact that where we live. America, that happens. Mexico, that happens. Anywhere there's gangsters, that happens, because once things are illegal, people die. So, but should things be illegal? I think so. You just can't have, realistically, ultimately there's going to be a hierarchy anyways. When we say we don't want law, I am definitely one of those people. I don't believe in government law. I don't like it. But there will always be a hierarchy. Say there was no government, which is called anarchy. Now, some of you guys think anarchy means a different thing. Anarchy means no need for government. There's no government. But somebody will govern something. So if you get rid of government, well, somebody's going to take over. And that's where a lot of these mobsters took over neighborhoods and things like that. They technically were the government. So there's a lot of discussion on anarchy and what anarchy means, and what it means to me, what it means to you, whatever. But the real definition of anarchy means no government. And I hear that as no need for government. Okay, getting back. That's why it's called a rant. Yeah, and poor George Young died in prison. Never saw his daughter again. His daughter never came to visit him, which I think is bullshit. And I think it's probably because of the lies her mother and his ex-Colombian wife talked about. It's really sad. And I think George Young was a good guy. Got caught up in stuff, and that happens, guys. People get caught up in stuff to try to make a living. Because there's no reward without risk. Now you can go, well, you can do other risks like sell real estate. Buying in real estate, that's a risk. But sometimes things are different, guys. Now, there are bad guys in that world. Absolutely. Absolutely, there's bad guys. But let's be honest, people are going to do the drugs. They just are. Because it's the same where what I see so much, it's not so much the drugs that are killing people. You know what I see killing people? Food. People are getting diabetes in record numbers. A lot in my family. They're literally killing themselves with food. And I'm almost like, look, put down the Chinese food and McDonald's hamburgers and pick up an 8-ball. I know it's crazy, but maybe it's better for you to put some opiates in your body than it is to, maybe it's better to put a narcotic in your body than it is to put in all this fucking sugar and grease and GMOs and garbage that McDonald's is. God bless McDonald's. It's so fucking good. I'm not saying you get rid of it, but I'm saying I have aunts and uncles that are killing themselves with food. That's a fact. And they're upset about junkies. Oh, they're, these, and when you say junkies, I think of these motherfuckers that are robbing people. I'm not saying, people just doing drugs, but ignorant people think if a person does a little bit of drugs here and there on their own time, they're a junkie. That's not necessarily true. I bet you guys have no idea. Your realtors all coked up all the time. Straight up. Your teachers, your car salesmen, your everything. It's okay. Do your thing. But should it be illegal? That's an interesting question, because we don't really know what would happen if a quote unquote hard drug like cocaine would be illegal. We don't know, or legal. I'm sorry, and especially heroin, which I've gotten these conversations many times because your boy here has been in plenty of surgeries. I've been in 12 knee surgeries, so I know morphine. I know painkillers. I've been in the hospital a lot. I've been in a lot of pain a lot. And let's be honest, morphine is heroin. let's be honest, OxyContin is heroin. Vicodin is a small dose of heroin. Heroin is just unsafe when you shoot it and things like that. It's unsafe. It's a little safer, I guess, if you're taking pills. But I'm telling you, I hear people ripping on heroin users, and then I know they're dropping OxyContins like they're juju beans. You know what I mean? They're taking it like candy. They just eat them. And you go, well, technically, you're on heroin. And I know people don't like to hear that, but that's a fact. That is a fact. And I know morphine drips. I know Dilaudid drips. And I get how people get hooked on that shit. It's fantastic. When that shit drips into your veins, you go, oh, life is beautiful. Oh, my God. But luckily, I'm just going to say maybe because, one, I don't get addicted to shit, which could also be my problem with other things. But two, I just don't have that in me to get addicted to it. And plus, I know I got other things to do, other things that I love to do, where if I'm taking morphine all day, I won't be able to get these things done. I won't be able to do them. I won't be able to go to the beach with my dogs. I won't be able to go play music with my family and my band. Those are the things I love doing. I won't be able to make the dinner nights and have drinks with my friends. Can't do it. But some people don't have these things that I have. I'm lucky I have love in my life. I'm happy I have friends who love me. So I don't indulge in, but I guess if I didn't have those things, I'd be smashing fucking morphine all day because it's awesome. You know? I mean, we just got to be honest with ourselves. And we can say I'm having a beer. You know, this is a late morning podcast. Technically, it's 3:00, but I'm having a beer. Got my workout in. I got work done early. I'm having a beer, and then I'm gonna do a stupid fucking video audition. So that's my day. And then I'm gonna be in the studio at night. That's my day, and I'm gonna have a beer. So they could say that's a substance. You could say cigarettes is a substance. Cigars is a substance. It's that nicotine. Weed, marijuana, mushrooms is becoming legal. And mushrooms, oh boy, a psychedelic, you could go to prison for life for that shit back in the day. Now it ain't shit. I mean, think about it. Right now we think cocaine is a hard drug. I think the garbage and fentanyl is a hard drug. I don't think pure Colombian cocaine is a hard drug. I don't. You know, you can get me for that one, but I just don't. I think it's all the shit that we cut it up with, man. It's gross. You know, it's like a bad slab of beef. You want that protein, but you're not getting all that protein. Now, I'm not calling cocaine protein, but so it's very interesting. But yeah, watching that movie, and George Young, you know, he died kind of a miserable guy, and I don't know if he deserved to die that way. And you can say, well, he was part of distributing cocaine that addicts people and kills children, blah, 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 blah. You could say that. And I wouldn't say you're wrong either. I wouldn't say you're wrong, but if not him, somebody else would. That is a fact. That is a fact. I'm sorry to say. Either way, it doesn't slow down the drug. It just doesn't. And there's more fake cocaine here in Southern California than ever. And it's fake, and people are just doing it. And do you think drug dealers care about your health? Nah, not at all. So you're snorting bullshit. So if I had a kid out there and he's partying and stuff, and I just go, you know, I'd rather him, if he was going to indulge at a party or something, I'd rather him indulge in pure clean cocaine than the garbage they're putting in it. Now, I would definitely say, please, for the love of God, don't do it. But let's be honest, people are going to do it. They just are. Sorry. But God bless it. I mean, look, I got to be honest. Partying and there's cocaine in the party, it's a good party. Let's be honest. You know, whether you're indulging or not, I got nothing against you on it. God bless you. Everybody seems to be having fun, you know? But there's two sides to that. There's different ways to look at things, man. There really is. But, I mean, that's a long discussion. Legal, illegal. But watching that movie, and we were talking about it on the set the other day, and, you know, it is very interesting because it's such a great movie. Johnny Depp is so goddamn good in it. Even looks like George Young, talks like him. It's crazy. Boston George. Look up Boston George Young, man. It'll blow your mind. There's a little documentary they did on him too on YouTube, and it's really good. But yeah, he gets hooked up with Pablo Escobar, and you guys know Pablo Escobar. Now, Pablo Escobar is a whole other world. That motherfucker was a dictator, drug lord, murderer, and a philanthropist. So there's a lot of people that loved Pablo Escobar. You know, he gave a lot of money to the poor. So sometimes a lot of these guys do good and they do bad, and they build hospitals, and they do build hospitals but blow up planes. You know what I mean? So you never know. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. That's an interesting subject, man. I'd like to get some of my friends in here and talk that subject because it's very interesting. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good one. Cheers.